All right, guys. Hello. Welcome back to Rich Artist Fridays, the last one of the year. We are at the end of the last month of the year. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, to whatever you celebrate. I hope you guys are staying warm. I cannot believe that we are doing the 40th week of Rich Artist Fridays. Guys, I have been doing this for 40 weeks almost without any breaks. So very, very soon we're going to be coming up on a full year of Rich Artist Fridays. And I do have to say that it really has made my year. Hi to everybody in the Instagram live as well. I see you guys all in there. Oh, Mariam, I see you in here. Come into our Zoom so that I can actually see you for your portfolio review. I'm glad you guys are
Hello.
tuning in. I'm just going to mute you guys. My name is Sophie. For anybody that's in here for the first time, it's so good to meet you
Hi.
guys. I am the founder of the Rich Artist Friday. Sorry, hold on, you guys. I don't know how I can mute you guys, but just make sure that you guys are muted just for now.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying hi, everybody. Um, how do I? Give me 1 second, guys. I just want to make sure that we're not going to get interrupted. Um, okay. Okay, I am going to mute you guys in here, and then I will unmute the people whose portfolios we're reviewing today. Where was I? I was just saying that I founded the Rich Artist Program because so many years of me building my career as a freelance photographer, I spent, figuring it all out on my own and trying to figure out how to build a business, to have a backbone to my own business. Um, and I really wish that I would have had community, that I would have had coaches that I have now, that I would have had people one-on-one that have sort of gone through what I wanted to accomplish for myself, that had built something similar that I was trying to do for myself. And guys, I went to college for photography. I have a degree in photography. I shot at other photographers, but along the way, there was a lot of things that I found were never prioritized to teach me as an entrepreneur, that I was never taught in terms of building a business, in terms of how to reach the clients that I wanted to reach. And that's sort of why I started doing these classes on Fridays. And the idea was to build a community where we can do workshops, where I can offer one-on-one coaching, where I can really implement myself in wherever you guys are standing and help you guys, with all of the tactical things that I've learned over the last couple of years that really made a difference in acquiring the clients that I wanted to work with, the visibility, building the platform that I was dreaming to build, for example, on Instagram, in order to have a network of people that are useful for me to be connected to. And at the same time, also, the give you guys emotional support, because I know that being a freelance artist comes with so many personal hurdles, because who we are as artists ultimately is the kind of career that we're going to lead. And we don't have employers, we don't necessarily have somebody that tells us what to do every single day. We also oftentimes find ourselves on our own with trying to motivate ourselves to believe in what we dream of, and pick up the slack every single day and sit ourselves down no matter what sort of condition we're in, and keep pushing towards what we want to accomplish for ourselves. And when we experience setbacks, we have nobody to blame but ourselves, which can be tough to sort of navigate as well. So that is what the Rich Artist Program is here to support you guys in, because I think it is so important that you are here. I think your art is so valuable. I know you guys are extremely talented, and I think it's such a shame that, this starving artist lifestyle, the stigma. I really want to break that stigma for you guys, because I believe that everybody can be successful in having the artist career that you want to have, and that doesn't need to look anything close to what my career looks like. I'm just here to tell you guys what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and hopefully save you guys from having to make some of the mistakes that I made. So I'm very happy that you guys are here. And because it's the last day of the year, I figured we'd do something a little bit different, which was review portfolios. So I chose two lucky people from the Rich Artist Program. Thank you guys for signing up, so many of you, to review your websites. And for everybody that's in here in the Instagram Live, I will be reviewing Anna June's website. And that is, let me just pull it up for you guys. It's annajune.me. Let's see if I can type that in here, because I don't know how else you guys can look at the work if you're interested. You can pull it up through that link. And let's just do it. Let's get started. I'd say grab a cup of tea, get cozy. You know, maybe there's going to be a takeaway for you guys as well, even if we're not reviewing your website right now. I see a lot of common threads in looking at your guys' websites. So let's take a look. All right, you guys, can everybody see the website that's in the Zoom live? And for everybody that's in the Instagram live, if you just want to pull it up, I just put the website in the comments here so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so first impression, I didn't peek yet. I took a tiny little peek at the files that you sent me, but I haven't looked at your website yet because I wanted to give you like my firsthand impression, because I think that's important too. First of all, I love that it's animated because right away, even if I'm not even like ready to look at anything yet, or I'm not even engaged yet, it's already drawing me in with the movement. So I think that's cool. It's very fast. I think it could be a little bit slower. I love that you have a full bleed image. When I look at photographers' websites, I think it's really cool when your layout takes up the maximum space of screen space, because obviously, you know, larger scale images leave a large impression. Okay, and then if we scroll down, we see sort of a grid of your work. All right, let me just take a scroll here. So your photography is mostly portraiture, fashion, and beauty, I would say. Oh, okay, and it's all in one row. So we have your bio, and then I'm assuming this is your Instagram grid, right? Yes. Anna, I'm gonna unmute you if I can, just in case you wanna say something. I think I have to ask you to unmute now, or can you? Oh yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you
Hi,
so much for
you
having me.
too. Okay, beautiful website, first of all. I love the layout. I love that there's a lot for me to look at right away without even me having to decide what I want to click on. I think that's very practical. All right, let's see. The first thing that I noticed when I was looking at the ones that are sliding through, and that I'm noticing as I'm scrolling down as well, is that this image doesn't match the contrast of a lot of your other images. And I know there's a little bit of like a haze aesthetic here. It's just sort of standing out to me because it looks a little bit low in contrast. Like, it's a beautiful image. It just sort of gets lost a little bit amongst how poppy a lot of your other work is. And as always, guys, all of this is constructive criticism. It's also just one person's point of view. So I'm just going to throw the things at you that I'm noticing, and then you can take it or leave it. Also, I think this image isn't doing you a lot of favors. I mean, it's a beautiful image, but I don't think it has anything to do with your main focus of photography here. I mean, you do have some like location-based imagery. I don't know if that was like an image that belonged to one of those series, but I don't think you need it in there. I'm noticing the little crease here from the makeup in the image. Now, obviously, I don't know that much about you yet, but I'm assuming that your goal as a photographer is to sort of be in the beauty and fashion slash portraiture realm. You can nod if I'm sort of right there. When it comes to that, even if your images are for your personal portfolio, it's really good to sort of take a look at, yes, Isa, you raise your hand. Oh, I can't hear you. Can you unmute? Oh, yeah.
Now, yes. Yeah. So for the image that you were speaking of that lacks a little bit of contrast, I used a diffusion filter that
Mm-hmm.
it appears a little bit faded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that work, if you click on the pictures, you can see the set of the pictures like more.
Ah, okay, I can see the
Yeah.
whole pic. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
then
a beautiful series. I love this one. Very pretty.
thank you.
Maybe one of these, maybe this one would be better for the homepage because I think it would give you a little bit more of a cohesive look.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I deleted a lot of like I used to do pregnancy shoots when my friends were pregnant. I took a lot of shoots or shots, but I deleted them from that site because somebody said, yeah, like that would be personal work more or less. And if you want to do portraity and fashion and beauty, you shouldn't have like home story like pictures or pregnancy pictures in your portfolio. But I personally, I love them. So I'm a little bit sad about that I removed them.
I think you can have one or two in there if you like it for your personal work. I also don't think that you should only have commercially viable work on your website. I have some personal work on my website as well. And I think, you know, you being a female artist and having a lot of female subjects, and I can see the vulnerability in your work and sort of the palpability and the rawness in your approach of working with your subjects. And I think if motherhood and pregnancy is something that aligns with that, which I think in your case is true, I don't think it necessarily hurts to have it in there. You know, they always say kill your darlings. Every once in a while, there's a picture that, you know, we always were like, oh, but I love that one. But
Yeah.
realistically, it's not doing you any favors, then get rid of it. I love this series too. I think your beauty retouching here is very great. What I was just saying about, whoops, sorry guys. What I was just saying about this image, because this image is somewhat about the little like makeup accent, I would do a little bit of more beauty retouching on it as well, just with the little like crease of concealer.
Yeah. Right.
And obviously I'm being very nitpicky here, but I'm thinking of when a certain type of client that you're trying to attract goes on your website. You don't want to give them ammunition to want to decide against working with you. So like, for example, I have a page on my website that's personal work, and I'll still make sure that the retouching on those images could just as well have been for if I shot it for a campaign or something like that. I think this image here is a little tricky. I think it's definitely blown out. Like I'm losing a lot of the texture in the skin.
That's
Uh,
true.
yeah. And I mean, it's beautiful makeup, but if it were for let's say a makeup client, first of all, you'd want the focus to be on the eyes, obviously. And like you wouldn't use it as a beauty shot because you can't really see enough of the makeup, you know? In that case, it's just sort of like a very stylized portrait. Um, nice picture regardless. Nice earring. Love this picture. I think the contrast there is beautiful. I think in general, your website is very well balanced. That's a great photo of you, by the way. I think you look
Thanks so much.
fashionable. I think you look trustworthy. I think you look confident, which I think is always important. And I think people neglect their bios a lot, you know. And if I were a client, obviously I'd be looking at the images, but then I'd also be like, okay, who am I hiring? And the first place that people typically see a picture of you would be in your bio section. So I actually think it's important to try to stand out in your bio. Love a good quote. Working as a freelance photographer in and from this creative hubs. She's eager about capturing people, beauty, and fashion while combining her expertise. And I've said this before in a Rich Artist Friday, and this is a take it or leave it sort of advice. I have seen hundreds of photographers' websites, and everybody writes their bio in the third person. And don't get me wrong, I had my bio in a third person for like 15 years. And I think it's this trend that people just follow without really thinking about it. And I think a lot of people write their bio in a third person because we want it to sound like somebody else is writing about us, almost like as if somebody made a Wikipedia page about us or something. But we all know that we all write our own bios. And especially with websites, I wish that I would see a couple more photographers just write in the first person, because I don't think it necessarily makes you sound any less professional. I think it actually makes you a little bit more approachable. And
Mm.
these days, clients want to really know who they're working with. They want to feel like they're inviting you into their team. A lot more photographers are doing their own creative calls, and it's your website. We all know that that's like your baby. It's your number one sort of platform where you are presenting yourself. I think it would be really cool to see a lot more photographers get a little bit more thinking outside of the box in terms of your biography. You know, write something from the heart, make it personal. I think that is a very clever way to stand out a lot these days on websites versus it just being about who other people might view you as an artist. I'd rather hear it coming from you. But that's also just a personal preference. Okay, very cool. I'm going to take okay, so you have the about section, which I'm assuming is the same. Okay, and then get in touch. Okay, perfect. I'm sorry we don't have that much time, but I know you sent me some files, so I did want to give you some quick feedback on this. And these are unedited, so I'm not going to comment too much on like coloring yet or anything.
Mhm.
I think your shooting style is very cool. I'm very happy to see a little bit of diversity in terms of like angle and closeness. I think it makes the series more interesting, when I can see that you're taking different approaches, even if you're shooting the same person, which is more engaging. I think this one's really cool. I love that angle.
Yeah.
Um, Great styling. Um, let's see. Okay. These pictures here, I think a couple of them are a little bit more like this one, for example, and these ones here are very much like what you would do for headshots for actors, which I don't know if that's something that you're interested in getting hired for, if that's a service that you offer. If
Actually,
not, you
yeah.
do? Okay.
Actually, she's an actress.
Okay.
So yeah, so we did that clean headshots like digitals. And after this, we tried to show different characters of her, like the girl, the Barbie, and the the rock star, more or less.
Mm,
So why I put that two headshots on the lower left corner is because there I consider the lighting for the left one not as perfect because her eyes are in the dark. But I think it adds a lot of interest in comparison to the right headshot, where the lighting is very good, I would
yeah.
say. So yeah, we are now thinking as we are speaking about which pictures we choose for editing and for putting on her actor's webpage. We are talking about this. And I told her I find the one with more shadow very interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. It definitely has a little bit more of an editorial feel versus this one is very headshotty. And
Mm.
she's so beautiful in both of them that I agree with you. I think from a creative point of view, this one I find more engaging.
Yeah.
So yes, very interesting. I think in terms of casting for your website, I think I mean, both of these women are very classically beautiful, very skinny, great styling, great hair, great makeup. I would be very selective with which ones you put on your website if you want to attract more fashion and beauty clients, just because some of them do read a little bit more like actress style. And if you, it depends a little bit on what you want to use your website for. If you're using your website to attract actors for headshots and stuff, then by all means, obviously put them in because I think they're great pictures. But if that's just something that you're doing on the side, then you can always put it in a portfolio, just in a PDF, and have those to sort of send to clients or have a separate link or something for them. And I think these are all great. Yeah. Well done. Thank you for letting me review your website. There's
Thank you
so
so
much
much.
more I could say, and thank you for trusting me to do it in front of everybody. You're
Thank you
very
so
brave.
much, Sophie.
You're
Thank you so
so
much.
welcome. All right, next up, how do I get back to you guys? Next up, we have Mariam, and you're in here as well. Mariam, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to have an exchange. Otherwise, feel free to just sit back, relax, and I'll just give you my 2 cents. Um, it's okay. Oh yeah, and the website for everybody in the Instagram live. Let me just see real quick. All right, you guys have it there in the comments if you guys want to pull it up on your desktop so that you can follow along. All right, another grid layout, which in general I'm a big fan of. I mean, my website is in a grid layout as well. I think you could use up your space a little bit more wisely. Like I was just saying with Anna's website, I always like when you're utilizing the fact that like if I am taking the time to look at it on a desktop, you can make a grander impression, I would say, if you try to utilize like a horizontal sort of layout. And in general, when using a grid, the more breathing space you give your images, the more high value they'll come across. Same as in a book layout, if your text sort of goes all the way to the edge of the page and there's not a lot of white space, it makes your text look less high end. So maybe giving your image just a little bit more space to breathe, I think they deserve. But all personal preference, obviously. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, very cool. I like that a lot. Oh, model coaching. Okay, very cool. I like your little logo. One thing I'm noticing that I think could make a really big difference in your work is the tonality in your skin. And this is something that I also, took me a little while to sort of train myself to see. Even if your image, the coloring is right, like for example here, this is a pretty accurate reflection of her complexion, I'm sure. But what I can see is that her back here looks a lot more yellow than, for example, the tones on her face. Now, obviously, our bodies are like that naturally. Like if you're flushed in the skin or you're wearing makeup, your face will always have a little bit of a different tonality in your skin. But oftentimes this also just happens because of shadows and the way that colors read in areas where less light is hitting, opposed to other areas. Like obviously her face is more like up towards the light. And correcting that in post-production is something that will make your images read so much more high end. That's something that I learned when I was interning with the photographer in New York City. He would have his retoucher print them out and view them under like a daylight sort of light. And then he would circle areas of the model and be like, her face looks a little bit too grayish here, looks a little bit too magenta, looks a little bit too desaturated or needs more saturation or looks too yellow. And if you go in and you start sort of just in certain areas, adjusting your tonality, with those with the little, I don't even know what they're called, but like in Photoshop where you go either towards blue or towards yellow, towards magenta or towards green, or towards red and towards cyan. If you start playing around with that, just selecting certain areas and take an area of the image that you know, okay, I like the way the skin looks here, and then sort of like adjust the rest of the body. It will make your image look so much more evenly lit and also, you know, more accurate to how we would perceive her skin if we were seeing her in real life. Because as HD as our cameras are, we do still have to help them see color correctly. Like I could, the same thing here a little bit. Her skin is reading very yellow to me. And I think if you adjusted that, especially if I see it in comparison to somebody that sort of has the same complexion as I know this model probably does, then I can tell, okay, here she looks very pink, which makes her look extremely yellow. But obviously that's all just, you know, that's a little bit of experience. I think you could clean up the floor even a little bit more here. Pay attention to flyaways as well. I think getting really, really clean about hair, obviously, again, like these are just tiny, tiny nuances, but you know, we're gunning for perfect, we're gunning for tip top. I want you to get $25,000 for your next campaign. Those are the sort of things that are standing out to me right now. I think overall your photography is beautiful. I think your casting is so amazing. I love that you have some older models in here. I love that you have body diversity in here. I think your colors are great. I think your approach to photography is very, very fun and engaging. This is so cool. I can tell that you worked with gels here, I'm guessing. I think that's so beautiful. I like that you have some of the publications on here because it does show me that you have worked, like that it's actual editorial work. I think if you're gunning for commercial work, this one, for example, could use a little bit of a crop because unless there was sort of like a slogan or a product advertisement or something on it, I would want to get closer to the subject, because if you are trying to sell a product here, which in this case would either be the shoes or the sweater, you would want the subject to take up a little bit more space in your frame. But most of your framing is actually really, really good. I love that. Let's see. Uh, Actually, can I click on your images? Okay, yeah, and then I get to the actual editorial. This is very beautiful. I like that a lot. Nothing, nothing to nothing to criticize. Again, here I think her skin looks a little bit yellow. I think be careful that you don't lose definition in the skin. Actually, these are fine. I think you can work a little bit on smoothing out your background even more, because I can see a little bit of the ripple, and I know we all hate smoothing backdrops, but I can still tell that it's not fully smooth, which I think is a very quick fix that would make the images that are shot on a seamless read a lot more commercial. Like here I can see it's a little splotchy. And there's so many tutorials online how to like really, really, really get a background smooth. And that's something that for years, my backgrounds looked exactly like this, where like they're not dirty, but they're not fully smooth. And it would make a world of a difference with pretty low effort. Yeah, I think your skin tones is like the number one thing that's standing out to me right now. This image is a little bit too dark in comparison to some of the others because I know that she's in full sunlight, and you could get away with brightening that a little bit without it being blown out. And I know that's an aesthetic to sort of have images be a little bit darker. But I think amongst your other images, it's just reading underlit. But these are beautiful. Also very cool for product photography. Yeah, very cool. Let's take a look at your bio. And Mariam, feel free to write something in the comment. Oh, I haven't even been checking my comments. Sorry, guys. Oh, it won't let you unmute yourself. I'm so sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank
I'm
you so much for
sorry.
the feedback.
I'm
That's
just like,
okay.
oh, she has nothing to say. That's fine. I'll just like let you know. Let me let you have my thoughts.
No, I love it. Thank you
Hi.
so much.
Okay,
Yeah, I totally
amazing.
agree with everything.
Okay, great. Okay, cute pictures of yourself. Let's see, I'm a Lon. Oh, you're writing in the first person.
I
Yay!
know. I was so glad when you said it last time, and I quickly went and checked. I'm like, I can't actually remember how I did it.
Okay, so you specialize in curve talent. That's really cool. Inspirational, aesthetic, and beautiful visuals. I know a lot of photographers, and I know this is turning into like a bio review. I have so much to say about bios because they're all the same. And I see photographers writing about like where they grew up and where they went to university, which I'm actually now realizing that I also write in my bio where I grew up. But like where you went to university and it sort of be very like timeline based writing.
Yeah.
I think most clients, and I really do believe in catering to your clients first in your websites these days,
Hmm.
is not like you have a lot of text here. If I were a client, I wouldn't be reading all of this. Unfortunately, you know, we're instant gratification generation. So I think if you could half this, you would be doing yourself a favor. I know mine is
Hmm.
pretty long too. But I think the most important things that you want to have stand out in your bio right away that grabs the client is what you specialize in, which is great that you have it in the first sentence, and why you care about that or why they should care, I would say. Because like the frustrating thing is they don't really care about you yet, you know? They're just trying to gauge who you are and what like how you could be an asset to them. So you basically want to tell a client why they should care about you, and you need to do it in a very confident way, and you need to do it in a very like clear, straightforward kind of way. So just tell them what you specialize in and why they should care that that sort of representation is important, or what you do for brands. Like you could even put that in your bio. Let's see.
With text
This
though,
is
it's
great.
tricky because you want to add like obviously our jobs are so image heavy that you want to add that text just so like keyword and searching and obviously like Google indexing and all of that, behind the scenes, I guess, of a website. So it's like that's kind of like my approach on the about me page. But obviously, yeah, I guess where I grew up or where I went to uni isn't really what people are searching for anyways.
I do believe in giving people like input and like background to where you're
Yeah.
coming from. Um, I think if you like sort of loosened up your layout a little bit in the about section, again, like I think people think that it needs to be sort of a block text version accompanied with a photo. And you can break this down. You can have like, I think it's great that you have this here sort of separate, but sort of breaking it down more into little puzzle pieces that draw the eye down and into different sections of the page also helps people sort of spend a little bit more time on your website rather than sitting there and reading a text. So what you could do is you could sort of have this as a standout quote of like what you specialize in, or this one sentence here was great. Nearly 10 years on, we've seen an immense change within brands and corporations worldwide to implement what is this in representation and diversity of their images, which is exciting. However, there is still so much more work that needs to be done. That is sort of a standout statement in and of itself, and it's very like attention grabbing. It's what a lot of brands do want their photographers to realize, and that's the sort of that's what they want to be associated with as well. So you could make that sort of a standout statement on your website as well. This is very cool. I want to see this
Totally.
model coaching thing. I also think, and obviously this might just be because you know, how often are we in front of the camera ourselves? I think you look very sweet here, but I can tell that it's just sort of a selfie in your private space. And if you ever get the opportunity, maybe even when you're on set, have your assistant or something take a picture of you in a professional setting, like in a studio setting. It's, you know, because it's all based on association, and
Yeah.
you should show up in the way that you want clients to perceive you. And let's say you're gunning for a $30,000 campaign. Unfortunately, what clients associate with you as the artist, it matters, because this is like sort of the first impression. So if there's any way that you can get an image of yourself that doesn't read, I'm gonna say the word amateur, and please don't hate me.
No, no,
You are
I'm
a-
with you. I'm with
But
you.
you are a professional, you know, and this is engaging for private clients. But I think if you're talking to a brand, you want them to put a lot of trust in you, and like, you know that you're worth this money. You're worth all of their trust and big jobs, and you have done them. I can see them in your client list, you know. So I think if you can get some photos of yourself that are in alignment with that, I think that would be great. I think you look really great here too.
Thank you.
Model coaching. This is so cool. I love that you have like an attached business to just your photography as well. So you coach models in posing and stuff like that.
So basically, yeah, just teaching models. I'm basically trying to bridge the gap with there's a lot of lack of resources and direction and information for the models in the industry. And I worked at a model agency as a booker and head of talent for 7 years. So I kind of see where the models' frustrations were lying, and I could just see like lots of patterns that just came from there's no like sort of guide for the models to know what to do and how to show up and what to expect and things like that. And so when I left the agency and started like went fully freelance, I just thought I could be that person to fill in those gaps for them. So I do like one-to-one coaching, and in the new year I want to do more workshops. I did one in New York, I did one in London, more sorry, I'm outside. More in-person workshops, more webinars, online resources, worksheets, and stuff like that to kind of create a community where models can go to get support, basically, in addition to an agency or in addition to being freelance. It doesn't really matter.
I love that. I love that you're taking an entrepreneurial approach to this. You know, you're already in the photo industry. You have a background in being a model agent or a model booker, and utilizing that to your advantage. I think that's really clever. I love that you have this breakdown of like, who is it for? How much is the session? Like, why should I care? Like, why are you the right person for me? And then how do I say yes to this offer? If you have already coached any models, and like you said, you did workshops, I highly recommend you reaching out to them and asking for some reviews and putting them on here in form of quotes, because it really can seal the deal for somebody that's looking at this offer, to see that people have already taken you up on this offer and they loved your services.
Yes.
And it's also always a great reminder to yourself to hear from other people what difference working with you has made. It can be a huge confidence boost. So I recommend that to anybody, even if you're not a model coach, if you're a photographer. When we talked about this in like setting your prices, I always tell my coaches, like, reach out to a couple of people that you trust and that you can be vulnerable with, that you have worked with before, and ask them, what was your takeaway? Because, you know, like, yeah, maybe we'll, as photographers, we'll get told after a session, like, oh, you made me feel so comfortable. Thank you. Like, that was so much fun, or that was the most fun I've ever had at a shoot. But genuinely following up and being like, did that change anything for you after, you know, the couple days after, maybe even the weeks or months after working with me, like the way you perceive yourself, or, you know, when you look at these images now, like what, being able to grasp the depth of the difference that we can make for people, I think is so incredibly valuable when it comes to thinking about how you price yourself as well. Like, I mean, I know London is freaking expensive, and I think your offer, I want to like highly encourage you to like double that number soon, you know? But yeah, I think this is awesome.
Thank you.
Any questions for me, because you were muted for so long that you might need to go back to real quick?
Just I mean, yeah, to kind of and finish the coaching bit, like I do have testimonials from people. I just haven't put them on my website, but I do try to ask them like after, you know, when I follow up, and I do like to do like email follow-ups after whatever work we've done together. I do ask them for testimonials, and they're all on my Google business, but I haven't like integrated them on my website. So that's pending, and I will absolutely do that. I totally agree. With the retouching that you mentioned at the beginning, retouching for me is like what I would like if I had to pinpoint like a weakness, that would be it. Like I think I've improved a lot, of course, and all of that, but it's definitely where I feel less confident. So do you recommend, like every time I go into, you know, yeah, YouTube tutorials, like I find it quite overwhelming. Do you recommend, yeah, well, any advice to sort of elevate that in terms of finding resources and not kind of feeling
Yes,
that
absolutely.
feeling of being overwhelmed? Yeah.
For everybody in the Instagram live, because I'm just realizing that I can hear the coaches, but you guys can't. The question was advice on how to get better at retouching, and finding YouTube tutorials quite overwhelming. I absolutely agree with you. I hate nothing more than like Photoshop tutorials, because I find them so dry. And also, you know, there's so much to choose from that, like even if they teach you technique, if I click on one, I don't know if it's actually going to get me to the point of where I want to be specifically, as, you know, being very personally attached to the way that I want my images to look. And Photoshop in and of itself is a full machine. You know, and some people, they dedicate their whole life to knowing how to operate that program. And I don't believe that as photographers we should even have to spend that much time on it. Like I only ever learn as much as I need to in order to get my photographs to where I personally want them to be. I mean, I also on the side do commercial post-production, which is different, and luckily that way I have more access to picking up more skills. What I highly recommend doing is watching workflows from other photography artists. I have taught a couple of live classes for Adobe. If you just Google Adobe live classes, they're on Behance, and then I think they upload them on YouTube as well. Those I think are so valuable, and they're also way more fun to watch because they're not taught by like technical professionals. They're taught by artists that utilize Adobe programs for their own artistry. And I actually find that a lot more insightful for you as an artist, because I don't want you guys to have to become Photoshop professionals. I just want you guys to be able to start viewing your art in a way that works for you guys, and that will, you know, train your eye to where you want it to be. And I think watching other artists operate these programs is actually a lot more useful than just acquiring a bunch of skills, because I know that with a lot of the ways that I retouch my images, it's probably not the fastest or the smartest way of doing something, but it works for me, and it got me to a point where my images read in a way that I can now acquire commercial clients, right? So that's on Adobe Behance Live. If you Google like Sophie Keatsman Adobe Live, you can view some of mine. Some of them are in German, most of them are in English, and you can just sort of maybe start there and watch one of my workflows, because It's also fun. They give you a host in those live classes. So the artist has somebody that they're having a conversation with while they're demonstrating their workflow. And the host can ask them questions about, well, what do you pay attention to the most? What do you think is the most important here? And that way the artist will also teach you like the way that they pay attention to certain things and the things that they care about the most in post-production versus other things. Like you'll hear me say things like, I know that like for some people this might be important, but like I don't really care that much about this aspect of post-production in my images because this is what's more important to me, or this has made the biggest difference ever since I started paying attention to that I do these like sort of sectional skin tone corrections or stuff like that. So I highly recommend doing that because all the other stuff, I mean, it's so boring, and we're here to be photographers, so really just acquire the skills that you need to make your portfolio look the way that you want it to look, you know? So I hope that was really insightful for you guys. Thank you for tuning in live here as well on Instagram. Thank you for letting me review your portfolios, your websites. This was so much fun. We'll definitely do another one of these. And if you guys were just tuning in on Instagram Live, I'll upload the screen recordings on YouTube as well, so you guys can go back if you wanted to see what I was actually looking at. So this is the best way that I found to do this. And I wish you guys the best new year. Stay tuned for obviously more Rich Artist Fridays. We're going to be back the first week of January. And until then, I wish you guys the best holidays. Thank you for an amazing year of Rich Artist Fridays. And if you want to do me one favor for the holidays, then tell one of your friends that we do these free classes every Friday. And if you're a photographer, an entrepreneur in your photography career, and you want some one-on-one input, hit me up. My consultations for one-on-one coaching are for free. So let's see if that's a good fit for you guys. Send me a DM, slide into my emails. There's a link on my website as well. And keep an eye out for the workshops that we're going to be doing in 2024. I'm getting sentimental, guys. This was so much fun. I love you guys so much. Keep doing your art, but also rest up, recharge, rejuvenate, and then, yeah, go after what you want for yourself because you deserve that. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next year.